ahead. Yeah, no, it's So I will pronounce the Planning Commission open, and with Connie, Jeannie and myself here, we have a quorum. And the first order of business is to approve the agenda. Do I have someone who wants to?
I'll second.
All in favour?
Aye.
And the second job is to approve the minutes of February 19th, 2024 that was circulated earlier.
I move to approve the minutes.
I second. All in favour?
Aye.
And then we move to old business, which is the Rush River Commons application for a special use permit to expand the current signage limits. And with that, I will ask Mayor Whitehead to open the town council session.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A quorum is present, and I call the town council meeting to order.
So, to remind everyone, this issue came up before the Planning Commission 10 days ago, maybe 2 weeks ago now, and we had only received the documents on the day. In fact, the drawings we only received at the meeting, and so we asked that discussion be tabled, and so we could come back another time. And at that time, I think Mr. Plesko also said that he wanted to come and explain. I do want to just recall at that meeting, because I think it's important, the application that went forward then was 52.33 square feet, which was above the cutoff of 30 square feet, 15 square feet for 2 buildings. As I understand it, there were errors in that application. Not quite sure how they got in there or how they were overlooked, but 2 signs were included in that submission. The 2 directory signs, which shouldn't have been included because they are actually in the residential part, and the SUP was only applying to the village mixed use. And also that application included numbers, which it shouldn't have. And so the application that, I don't think there's been a formal resubmission, but it is different. At the same time, I do want to remind everyone that at that meeting, there was some concern expressed in about the project identification sign, and that it is planned to be bigger then they're welcome to Town of Washington sign and sit opposite on the street, as there would be two competing signs. And there was some discussion about the fact that we're calling it the project identification sign, but it's actually a campus sign. It's depicting the Rush River Commons campus, and nowhere else in the town do we have a campus sign. We have a sign at Washington School which says, it's a building sign, it says Washington School. We don't have a sign announcing the Inn at Little Washington's campus. We don't have a sign announcing the courthouse campus. So there was some concern that it was separating out what Gary Aichel called this subdivision from the rest of Washington, Virginia. And I think we may come back to that now. But I do feel we have a different submission. Steve, are you formally making a different submission from the previous one at this stage?
We just revised the table. We kept the same signs. And the sign, the ID sign that you mentioned, is actually smaller, slightly smaller than the town entry sign.
It's smaller as I understand it, but it's taller. It's quite a lot taller.
Right. And
And
the little,
tall,
yes.
to my mind, feels bigger.
Well, in the little packet here that has the revised table, there's a rendering. If you recall, last time I said that I would bring you information about the landscaping that we do along Warren Avenue, and also we did a little rendering of what the sign would look like.
Yeah.
And so I think when you look at it in scale proportional to the building and its location away from the street and within a landscape corridor, I think it's proper and it fits.
Well, I will say that just so that for everyone's awareness, that this was formally received by the town last Friday.
Okay. So I think from our point of view, there are two things that are valid here. The fact that the two directory signs and the numbers should not have been included, as I understand it, actually brings your total down to 28.45, which is underneath
Yes,
the cutoff of 30.
correct.
So in actual fact, you don't need an SUP. That said, I think, one part of our motion would be that the revised numbers mean that an SUP is not needed. At the same time, you now have to progress, as I understand it, to the ARP. And I think, and I'm going to ask my fellow commissioners, there is some sense that the Planning Commission, in the course of its motion to dismiss the SUP because it's no longer needed, would like to include a recommendation to the ARB that it look carefully at the campus sign because we believe it is out of sync with the rest of the town. And with that, maybe I'll hand to my fellow commissioners who may want to say something.
I will. I just had a couple of questions.
Sure.
Even though I realize that we're not having an SUP discussion anymore. This is the original bigger submission on the west elevation.
Yes.
If there's no page number, so I can't give you that. It says retail elevation and it says west end.
Yes, that's the side that'll face the post
Right.
office. Yeah.
It's Leggett Lane, right?
Correct.
Okay. So the first is the window,
Right.
and then is the door.
Right.
And my question is it intended that the window signage, if you will, is going to be the business that ends up in there? And that the door is also going to be, I'm just not clear.
What our inspiration was for that was patios. So we're hoping to have a business in there,
Right.
paint the business logo on the window, and then at the door, it'll probably just say, hours of operation, something like that.
So it's not going to be the whole Rush River Commons thing again, like it shows? That's just for
It'll be whatever business we get in there.
So that was just like a placeholder on the,
Correct.
on your,
So we get a tenant. We
Rendering.
don't have a tenant for that space yet.
okay, that's, just because I didn't understand
No, it's a great question.
what the, and the other one was on the main entryway, probably the same answer, but I'll ask it anyway, on the retail, on the office space. Again, the two signs that you show,
Correct.
so the one is a directory sign,
So there's a doorway,
right? I
and a
got that.
doorway into the retail space. So again, it's like a 8x12 sign, it's very small, just at the door, hours of operation.
Okay.
Just so you know to go in that door. The elevation, they look very similar, because at one time we were gonna have all doors, and we're like, no, one set of doors. But just architecturally, it's gonna be like a storefront with windows that like go into this door with a retail space. And then there's a sign at the front door that just says, hours of operation, emergency number. We're not gonna have a directory sign.
Okay,
That'll be inside in the lobby.
okay. I'm just trying to understand what each of the signs is for. Okay,
Yeah.
so the door into the retail on the front elevation and the door into the retail on the west elevation are basically going to say the same thing, which is the hours of operation. Okay.
We're trying to keep very minimal signage.
Okay, I mean, to me, that's duplicative around the corner, but I get it, it's a different side of the building, so, yeah, okay. That was that, and then, the only other comment that I would make is that at the last meeting, at the town council joint meeting, you all had volunteered, or at least I thought I heard you volunteer to take away the project ID sign.
We considered it and we rethought it, and we really think we need it. We'd like to keep it in since we're underneath the cap. We think it's appropriate.
You don't think it's a conflict with the sort of melding into the Little Washington?
Absolutely not. When you look around town, to Carolyn's point, yes, Washington School has an ID sign. I would consider it an ID sign. And then they have signage at their building. The sign, which we copied Patrick's design for the sign here in town, pretty much the same size, detailing, similar detailing. Has the Emmett Little Washington logo, it has shops and ballroom. All we're saying on our sign is Rush River Common. So,
Yeah, no, I know what it says.
yeah.
I think our point is that the Washington School sign is a building sign, and the ballroom and the shop sign outside the tavern is a building sign with a small logo in the middle. Nowhere else in the town has a campus sign. And Rush River Commons is essentially, it's not a building, it's a space. And that's the issue. But I think we've made our views very clear. I understand that this is an issue that now goes to the ARB. Connie.
We certainly encourage
Yes.
folks to show up at that meeting.
Connie.
I just have one question. Is the placement, is that the only place you thought of putting it? I mean, at the corner of Warren and Leggett, as opposed to putting it in the entrance to the buildings, for example, and where you see
Moving
the
it
car
around
show?
the corner.
Right.
It's really, if we put it any further back from the road, you wouldn't see it from the road. So, the
It's
intent
kind of
is,
the point.
I was asking that in terms of if you were to put it on Leggett when you're entering into the buildings. So I don't know what the,
if you look at the little rendering, it might help you
right,
get the perspective of where we're placing it. And the scale, so if you look at that last sheet,
yeah, no, I see it.
so it's on the corner, it's in line with the corner of the building.
Right.
And we're about 25 feet away from the road, so it's not right on the road. You can't be in the road because that's the beat out right of way.
Sure.
So we're back and there's landscaping, all
Sure.
along our frontage, so.
No, I was just my only question is that just thinks about putting it in front of, if you enter in, because it's just on Leggett. It's just a thought.
I mean, please make recommendations to ARB, and, you know, we'll work with ARB, and, you know, we understand.
Yes. So I think at this point, we are going to make our recommendation and hand to our colleagues from the town council, and our recommendation is going to be, I move that we, the Planning Commission, recommend to the town council that that the total square footage of the application, since it now conforms to the ordinance, an SUP is no longer needed. We, at the same time, have concerns about the project identification, signage, and position, and we recommend that the ARB takes a careful look at the composition, size, and sighting of the campus sign and the signs on each of the buildings, which seem out of style with the rest of Little Washington. Do I have someone?
I'll second.
Do you second it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All in favour?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. And we'll hand to you, and then we come back to the rest of our meeting. Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I would say at that point there is no particular action on this for the council. However, I would note that an applicant for an SUP is required to pay a fee to the town and is also required to pay for the advertisement of the meeting that is held when you apply for an SUP. So I would like to move for the council to, one, return the application fee to the applicant, and also to reimburse the applicant for the price of advertising for the SUP, which was not required, and in fact was a clerical error on the part of the town staff that led to this impasse. So,
I second.
all in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry, any discussion? I apologize.
So it was our fault.
Yes.
Okay.
Any?
Just want to make that clear.
Yes. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. My apologies to the applicant that we've had to go through this a couple of times, but we will move. You're off to the ARB now, and we'll, I'm sure, see you there.
Are you closing your meeting?
I'm going to in just a second, if that's okay with you, unless there's any other, we're specifically called for this. I will take a point of sort of personal privilege, because I do have one thing that I would like to share before we adjourn. You know, when you're elected to public office, you often have to relinquish some of the privacy you would enjoy as a private citizen. And I, unfortunately, tonight find myself in that situation. Shortly after our last town council meeting, I found out that I was going to be one of 9 million Americans this year who are diagnosed with cancer. My diagnosis was caught early. My diagnosis is good. The numbers look good. But it does mean that the next 6 or 7 weeks I will be spending a lot more time in Big Washington and not here. And I will likely miss the next couple of town council meetings. I thought it was important to share, and I would only encourage folks even in my age group to stick with those routine medical screenings, because it can avoid just, or can help you with just this sort of situation.
We'll miss your leadership.
Yes, and on behalf of the Planning Commission, I would like to say how much we value your leadership and how much we want to support you. And on a personal note, I do have some very fetching wigs. My experience.
Thank you. With that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn the council meeting.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion is adopted. We adjourn. Madam Chairwoman, your
Okay.
yours.
Thank you very much. It's on my agenda. So the Planning Commission doesn't actually have any new business, I don't believe. Do we have any comments from the public forum? That's you. That's you, the two of you. If not, I will close the public quorum, and I will move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank